The snow had started falling just before sunset, soft and quiet, like the world was trying to hide its own shame. The city streets glowed under yellow streetlights, and people hurried past each other with collars up and heads down. No one wanted to linger in the cold. Daniel Mercer pulled his coat tighter around himself as he stepped out of the grocery store. He was tired. It had been another long shift at the warehouse, another day of lifting boxes and pretending not to hear the jokes from coworkers who didn't understand why a man in his 30s lived alone and never talked about family. He loaded 2 bags of groceries into his car: bread, eggs, canned soup, and a frozen dinner he would heat and eat in front of the television. It was a routine that felt safe because it required nothing from him. As he shut the trunk, he heard a small voice. "Mr." It was so soft he almost thought he imagined it. He turned. Near the edge of the parking lot beneath a flickering light stood a little boy. He couldn't have been more than 6 or 7. His jacket was too thin for the weather and his shoes looked soaked through. Behind him, sitting on the curb with a baby wrapped in a faded pink blanket, was a woman. The boy stepped closer, hesitating. "We haven't eaten in 2 days," he said. "My mom says not to ask, but my sister's hungry." Daniel felt something twist inside his chest. He had seen people like this before, on sidewalks, at intersections, outside stores. He had trained himself not to look too long, not because he didn't care, but because caring felt like opening a door he didn't know how to close. "I'm sorry," Daniel said automatically. The word felt small and useless. "I don't have cash." The boy nodded as if he had expected that answer. He turned to go back to his mother. Daniel could have left. He almost did. His hand was already on the car door. But then he looked at the baby. The woman tried to rock her gently, but her arms trembled from the cold. The baby's cries were weak, thin, tired sounds that didn't even have the strength of full tears. Daniel thought about the frozen dinner in his bag. He thought about going home, heating it, eating alone, and scrolling through his phone until sleep came. He couldn't do it. "Wait," he called out. The boy turned again, eyes wide, not hopeful, just cautious. "Come here." Daniel opened the trunk and took out one of the grocery bags. He pulled out the bread, the eggs, and 2 cans of soup. Then he paused, frowned, and grabbed the second bag too. "Here," he said, kneeling slightly so he wouldn't tower over the child. "Take all of it." The boy's eyes filled instantly. "Really? Really?" The mother stood up slowly, holding the baby tight. She walked over, her face pale but proud. "You don't have to give us everything," she said softly. "Just something is enough." "It's fine," Daniel replied. "There's a diner across the street. It's warm. Go there, I'll pay." She looked at him like she didn't understand what he meant. "I'll pay," he repeated, "for a hot meal." Her lips trembled. "Why?" Daniel didn't know how to answer that. He wasn't a hero. He wasn't generous. He was just tired of walking away. "Because it's cold," he said simply. And this time, he didn't let himself turn back. The diner smelled of coffee and fried onions. A bell jingled as they stepped inside, drawing a few curious glances from regular customers. Daniel led them to a booth near the heater. The boy slid in first, clutching the grocery bag like it might disappear. The mother sat carefully, placing the baby between them, still wrapped tightly. A waitress approached, her expression stiff at first. Daniel met her eyes. "3 meals," he said, "and something warm to drink for her." The waitress nodded, her tone softening. "Right away." For a moment, no one spoke. The boy kept staring at the menu, though Daniel doubted he could read much of it. "What's your name?" Daniel asked. "Eli," the boy said, "and this is my sister, Nora." The baby stirred at the sound of her name. "And you?" Daniel asked the mother. "Marissa." She kept her gaze low. There was shame in her posture, the kind that doesn't come from weakness but from being judged too many times. "What happened?" Daniel asked gently. Marissa hesitated. My husband passed away 3 months ago, construction accident. He was everything. Her voice cracked, but she steadied it. The rent piled up. I tried to keep up, but daycare costs, medical bills. She shook her head. We were evicted last week. Daniel swallowed hard. He thought about his own brother, gone 5 years now in a car accident. He remembered how the world had kept moving while his own had stopped. The food arrived: pancakes, eggs, soup, grilled cheese. The smell alone seemed to wake something inside the children. Eli didn't wait. He took a bite so big it almost hurt to watch. Nora fussed until Marissa dipped a spoon into warm soup and cooled it carefully before feeding her. Daniel looked away for a second, blinking fast. Thank you, Marissa said quietly. Most people pretend we're invisible. Daniel gave a faint smile. I've been invisible too. They ate in near silence after that, broken only by small, grateful sighs from Eli and the soft clink of spoons. When they were finished, Eli leaned back with a full belly and sleepy eyes. This is the best day ever, he said. Daniel almost laughed at the simplicity of it. He paid the bill and stepped outside with them again. The snow had grown heavier. Where are you staying? He asked. Marissa hesitated again. Shelter's full. We were going to find somewhere under the bridge for tonight. The image hit him like a punch. He looked at his car, then at them. His house wasn't big, just a small 2-bedroom on the edge of town. The second room had been empty for years, filled with boxes he never unpacked. He knew inviting strangers in was risky. He knew people would call him foolish. But he looked at Eli, whose eyes were already drooping from warmth and food. You can stay at my place, Daniel said. Marissa froze. We can't impose like that. It's just for the night, he said quickly, though even as he spoke he wasn't sure it was true. It's warm, there's a bed. Her eyes searched his face for anything dangerous, anything selfish. All she found was quiet sincerity. I don't know how to repay you, she whispered. Daniel shook his head. You don't have to. The house felt different that night. It wasn't the furniture that changed or the walls. It was the sound. For the first time in years, laughter echoed down the hallway. Eli had discovered the old board games Daniel hadn't touched since his brother died. He insisted on playing, even though he barely understood the rules. Nora crawled across the living room rug, fascinated by everything. Marissa stood in the kitchen doorway, watching her children with a softness Daniel hadn't seen before. I haven't heard him laugh like that in months, she said. Daniel felt something shift inside him, something warm, something alive. They made up the spare bed with fresh sheets. Daniel found an old nightlight and plugged it in for Nora. When he finally lay down on his couch, he expected to feel regret, to worry about what tomorrow would bring. Instead, he felt peace. The next morning, he woke to the smell of eggs. He walked into the kitchen to find Marissa cooking carefully, using the groceries he'd meant for himself. I hope you don't mind, she said. It's the least I can do. Eli sat at the table, drawing a picture with crayons Daniel didn't remember buying. It was a house. 4 stick figures stood in front of it. That's you, Eli said proudly, pointing to the tallest one. You saved us. Daniel crouched down to Eli's level. No, he said softly, you saved me. Because the truth was, before last night he had been surviving, existing, going through motions. He thought he had nothing left to give the world. But it turned out he had exactly what someone else needed. Over the next weeks, just one night turned into many. Daniel helped Marissa find a job at a local bakery. He called a friend about affordable housing. He watched Nora while Marissa worked late shifts. Eli started school again. And the empty room in his house stopped feeling like a ghost. One evening, as they sat around the dinner table, crowded, noisy, imperfect, Daniel realized something. Kindness is rarely convenient, It interrupts plans. It empties grocery bags. It takes up space. But it also fills it. If he had walked away that night, life would have continued as usual. Instead, it had begun again. And all because a little boy had said, "We haven't eaten in 2 days," and a stranger had decided he couldn't walk away.